So it sounds like Warner Brothers is signaling huge problems for AH when it comes to Aquaman 2, as now there is discussion of major script rewrites behind the scenes. That's right. These major script rewrites, they're supposed to deal with quote-unquote ramifications for how characters they're going to be portrayed. Yeah, I wonder what that would mean. Now there's more with this too, and you and I, oh yeah, we are definitely going to talk about this today. Fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. All right, so hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day. I hope you are doing excellently. Now, when it comes to this new news from Bounding into Comics, I want you to understand that this isn't happening alone. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we saw Aquaman 2 bumped yet again. Now that alone tells you that they want to avoid the bad headlines that are coming up associated with AH. That's why they kicked it from this year, December 2022, to originally March 2023. And then they were like, yeah, that's not enough time. Let's actually kick it all the way back to Christmas 2023. Now that by itself works into what we're talking about today, but you know what? It's not the only thing. In fact, you saw headlines like this coming up around a month ago talking about how Ben Affleck, his Batman, is going to return for Aquaman 2 in what looks like, rewrites. Now, the source that Bounding into Comics is quoting here is the source that ended up scooping that Ben Affleck news for Aquaman 2 before anyone else got to it. I mean, this does get confirmed by the mainstream media, by the way. So that story, well, it looks very much legit. Well, they're the ones that are talking about all of this here today. Now, as far as what they're discussing here, major script rewrites. We know that Warner Brothers will indeed do that to Aquaman 2. They've done it in the past. AH was the one that told us about it, and it was about her. So she had her major role downplayed significantly already. But you have this person telling you that their sources, and I'll tell you there are a lot of sources behind the scenes that will tell you what's going on with companies like Warner, but they're telling them the reason that all of these delays are happening is because they're doing major rewrites, and those major rewrites, they're going to have major ramifications for how the characters they're going to be portrayed in the movie. And yeah, that makes sense, especially if you're writing somebody out of a movie. Now, the reason that these rewrites are happening is because Warner Brothers, I guess they're finally getting the message that if you don't do something in the now, it's going to impact the future. So what they're doing is they're trying to be forward thinking. They're trying to think what they want their DC universe to look like in the future, a future that's not going to include people like AH. So you can either do something about it now, try to fix these problems in the now so it doesn't destroy things for years to come, which actually does make sense. Now, Warner Brothers has proven time and again when they do something like this, they don't really address that subject. What they do is they try to find something else to hype. I mean, we've seen that with Fantastic Beasts 3. They tried and failed to hype up Ezra Miller. I mean, that was the worst mistake ever. They also, they hyped up Mads Mikkelsen, who also, he brought up JD, which was interesting enough. So what they're trying to do, according to this, is they're trying to put Ben Affleck in, but they're not just putting him in as a post-scene credit. No, they're talking about giving him more role in these rewrites. Like I said, it's something that you could hype up, something that you could point to instead of saying, yeah, we did this with the express intent to get that person out of there that, well, they were found guilty in the courtroom. Now, if you find yourself saying, that umbrella guy, I don't really know if they would do that, well, you know what they would? They proven that they would. They'll rewrite Aquaman 2, but more importantly, they'll rewrite it with the express intent of changing up AH's role. I mean, she herself admitted in documents that were sealed. We can see this here. This was recently unsealed in the last few weeks, that her role was minimized from the original script. And what's really important to note here is that this was before she lost in the courtroom. That's right, before her loss. In the aftermath, where she's gotten all of this blowback, where Warner Brothers, they're seeing people boycott the film and on. Yeah, they have to be thinking, well, you know what? We were on the right track in the first place. Listen to this, though. These are her own words. No rumor, no innuendo. Also, as a result of JD's defamatory statements, February 22nd, 2021, I was quote-unquote released from my Aquaman 2 contract. So she admits something that they lied about, they attacked about, they tried to minimize, which shows you also that they're not going to admit oftentimes what they're doing in the first place. I was ultimately, quote-unquote, rehired on the movie, but I was unable to renegotiate my deal to include a salary increase and bonuses because the effort was focused necessarily on keeping me in the film. Pay increases as much of 50 to 100% are customary in the industry when a film is as successful as Aquaman, and I lost $2 to $4 million on this one film alone. Now this part really tells you what you need to know. In addition, but for JD's statement, my role in Aquaman 2 would have been far more prominent. They're telling you about script changes. As written in the original script, which I read early on, my role in the sequel, it was quite extensive. As in the first Aquaman, the sequel was to portray me as the co-lead with Jason Momoa, which was supposed to include, number one, a romantic arc. Number two, it was going to have an extensive action scene in Act 3, and she's telling you all of that stuff, it was removed. Why was it removed? Rewrites. Now also remember that recent interview with Jason Momoa where he was asked about AH and Aquaman 2. Let's see what he had to say.
The hype, all the buzz, all the talk, Aquaman 2, what can we expect? Have you talked to Amber? How are things?
It's just laughs. I've never, me and Patrick, it's a bit of a brother's journey, and so it's a lot of funny stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that's just what's going on in our environment, talking about climate change and just hitting on certain things that I wanted to hit on. And it's just a lot of laughs.
So he describes a lot of laughs. He describes everything there. What he doesn't describe is a co-lead or the story that you're hearing about. Rewrites. It sounds like you have a lot of them. Damage control. It sounds like a lot more. No shade at Jason Momoa either. That's the way that you go. That's what being a professional looks like. But yeah, let me know what you think. And as always, I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff work. Thank you. I can't say that enough. Want to help out the channel, by the way? There are links in the description. We could always use your help, but you being here, that is the biggest help of all. Thank you. I appreciate you. And in here, see you soon.